What is up, Auburn fans? Welcome in to another edition of Auburn Primetime Live. It's a Tuesday night, and guess what, folks? Fall camp is here. The Auburn Tigers are underway, and football season is back. It is here. Toe is about to meet leather. Pads are about to start popping, and I think that's what we are all excited about. Waco is coming up. It's a month away, folks. It is a month away, and we finally get to see what the Auburn Tigers are truly about. Oh yeah, and by the way, oh yeah, got the Nike stuff on, baby. Let's go. Mike hopping in early with a War Damn Eagle. War Damn, Mike. How we doing tonight, brother? Hope all is well. Oh man, I just got home. Had a long day at work. Went over to my brother's new house, helped him move a little bit, come home. The wife had dinner made as I walked through the door, took me a shower, had a nice little bowl of spaghetti, and I said, hey, let's get in here and talk some Auburn football. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the depth chart tonight. What do we think happens? I want to hear you guys. What do you think happens at running back or any position? If you got a position out there that you think's up for grabs, throw it in the comments. How are we doing tonight, Miss Devin? War Eagle to you. Throw it in the comments because I want to hear your side of this as well. I want you to be the co-host with me, and I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, just like mine. So I do want to cover that. And look, I'm gonna give you an episode later this week. I'm not going to do balls, toss, and loss because that's a war report thing, but I am going to give you some games that I think Auburn has to have. And if they want to have a successful season, they have to win those games. And then I'm going to give you my iffies. I'm going to give you the ones where I'm scratching my head right now. And I don't know if it's a win or if it's a loss. And that's where I sit. And there's a couple of them. I know people right now who are already penciling in Arkansas as a win. And I am here to tell you, hold your horses. Hold your horses before you start penciling in wins with this Auburn football team. Let's take this slow. I see the comment section over here going crazy tonight early. Here we go. Let's see. Miss Evans says got a meeting in about 10 minutes, but it's not too long, so I'll be back on after it's done. Okay, that's fine. Hey, it all works out. We're here for a little bit. So let's go, Blake. Love the Nike. Let's go, Brett. Got it in today. All right. The wife called me. She said, hey, your package is here. I said, let's go. I'm excited through the roof, baby. Been waiting on Auburn and Nike for a long, long time. Daniel said, why would the defense go soft on Ja? Okay, so sorry if you hear my dog barking. The kids are playing in there. They're going crazy. And so here's the thing. Why would the defense go soft on Ja? So I don't know if a lot of you, if you listen to C5, but here's my understanding of it. And this is the way I think he laid it out perfectly. When you are in spring ball and you're playing each other, y'all, the defense knows everything you're about to do. So all Hugh was saying is like, hey, man, look, if we run this, don't do something stupid, That's all he was saying is because you don't think Caleb Harris knows what's coming? You don't think these dudes, K and Lee, knows what Auburn, when they line up, he knows. He knows. So I think Hugh and DJ Durkin were like, hey, look, let's play it slow here. Let's play it slow. Don't go jumping routes and things like that. Let's don't try to show our quarterback up. All right. I think that's what he was. He wasn't going out there and saying, "Hey, half-ass it and just don't play hard." That's not what he was saying. He was saying, "Play this thing like the real game. Like you don't know what's coming." Okay. And I heard C5 say that the other day, and I said, that's a great explanation of how he laid it out there. Also, you want your quarterback loose, having fun, being a competitor, being a leader out there. You don't want to knock him, man. And so I think the last 2 years, your quarterback hasn't been that. He has went in and hasn't been that confident. He has been shy. Body language was off. I told each and every one of you while he was at Auburn, I never felt good about Peyton Thorne's body language. It just always seemed off to me. It always seemed off to me. And so you don't want that from the guy that you went and got in the transfer portal. You don't want that. You don't want him to go out there and you're showing him up. Also, another thing, when you start competing out there and tempers are flaring and emotions are getting high, what if your DN comes around, man, and he's going full speed and he just kind of chips Jackson on it. He just chips him a little bit. And it's things like that happen. And I think Hugh was just basically grabbing everybody and saying, hey, look, we don't want this to happen. For Jackson to be like, dang, bro, like, I'm your teammate. I get where some people are coming from when they're like, oh, that's soft. That's soft. What Jackson went through at Oklahoma, you don't want him to come to Auburn in the spring and have to go through that again. And so when your defense knows what's coming, you just say, hey, look, man, just take it a little easy. That's where I think he was coming from in that situation. I don't think he walked out there and said, hey, let's go 50% or anything like that. I don't. But you're foolish if you don't think the defense, when Auburn lines up, they don't think that, you think they don't know what's coming, because they do. They're not, those guys have been in the system for a minute now on that defense. So they know what's going on. And that's what I meant today by that. And I was going to address it, Daniel. I'm glad you're here. I still don't think we're getting blown out by Baylor like you do. And I hope you finally come around to think we're going to go out there and we're going to be competitive. Oh, great. It's Daniel Downer. Still unsure about the Nike gear, specifically Nike as a company. I love Nike. Now, them and their political views and all that. I did go to Oregon and visit Nike. They won't let you go past the gates and things like that. So that was all I got to see. So, but I get it. I do get it. But I love Nike. I love me some Nike. Charlie's take on it was great. Yeah, and I think he hit the nail on the head. And I'm not trying to steal his take, but I think he hit the nail on the head. and I think he delivered it great. Our defense used to call the play out in practice. They know what's coming because they see it every day. Exactly. And take it from Mike. Mike was a dog. I grew up with Mike. Went to the same school, man. He was a receiver. He's went through spring and everything, and he's done it, right? He's done it. He was a very, very nice receiver in school. So he knows, man. He's been out there. He's heard the defense say things and stuff like that. So I don't think it was Hugh saying, hey, let's go 50%. I think he was just saying, hey, don't be dumb right here, okay? Don't do anything stupid to knock Jackson. And let's be honest, too, Jackson only threw 3 picks last year. So throwing picks wasn't the issue. It was just him fumbling the ball. It was him holding on to the ball when he would get pressured. There was a couple times where he would take off and run and he fumbled, but majority of the time it was him getting pressured. So, Brett, hey, now be nice. No, we love Daniel. That's the thing, is we love Daniel, and we think Daniel's great, but we also want Daniel to come around to be an Auburn guy. All right. We know he's an Auburn fan, but we want him to be an Auburn man. And I'll tell you this. I see a lot of people on social media and they're like, oh man, I don't know if I don't know if we go 5-7 or do we go 7-5? Look, I'm always the Auburn fan that's like, hey, we ain't doing any worse than 8-4. We ain't doing any worse than 8-4. There's a shot at this schedule that you could go 7-5, but in my head, we ain't going any worse than 8-4. And the reason I'm that fan is because I know the expectations at Auburn, and the expectations are to win and compete for championships. It's not to go 6-6 and 5-7. That is not the expectations. Hugh didn't want the blitzes and hidden coverages happening while they're trying to get the install finished. For sure. Like, it's not. So when you start blitzing and stuff on Jackson and just say he starts making the wrong reads and things like that, that is what Hugh's talking about. Hugh is saying, hey, look, we don't want that stuff to happen. We want Jackson to be fully confident. That was it. Everybody took that clip and just ran with it. And they were like, oh, Hugh's babying him. He's babying him. Hugh, it's the same Hugh that babied Peyton Thorne and made him the starter. Y'all, I could have told you as soon as Peyton committed to Auburn, he was the starter. There was never a quarterback battle between him and Robbie Ashford. I hate to tell y'all that, but there wasn't. Some of you might still believe that, but the day Peyton Thorne committed to Auburn, he was the starting quarterback. I even got on the up-tempo pie and tried to preach to some of y'all. Can you give your opinion on how the line change is when there's too much action on one team? Okay, so the thing, Mike, I'm glad you asked that and glad you're in here. So, all right, the line change. Everybody is freaking out about Auburn being favored, and now Baylor's favored. So I kind of mentioned this in the episode the other night. I automatically think when I look at betting on Saturdays, and yes, I place a couple bets, I place a couple parlays, I lay down some locks that I think have no chance of losing on Saturdays. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. So when I immediately look at a matchup and I say, okay, let's just take Alabama and Florida State, right? I'm going to give Florida State 3 points just because they're at home. Like, I'm going to give them 3. Same way with Baylor here. I'm going to give them 3. So when that line was at Auburn minus 1.5, and now it's Baylor minus 1.5, I'm going to give Baylor those 3. Now, what happened here was I think the sharps and the big money, they were looking at it and they were saying, okay, well, look, Baylor's got 8 offensive starters returning. Their quarterback is a dog. He threw for almost 30 touchdowns. They got all the pieces to come back and be successful. This is a Big 12 champion. A lot of people are predicting Big 12 champion, and they're underdogs at home? No, let's Baylor money line. So when everybody started Baylor money line, Baylor money line, Baylor money line, Vegas said, oh, well, now we got them. All right. Now we're going to make Baylor the favorite. So when all the money starts going to one team, they move that line to try to get action on the other team. Betting and gambling, it's an art. That's why I tell a lot of people. Everybody's like, Blake, why you do your gambling show on Saturday mornings? And I'm like, because you wait to the very last second to place a bet. Because a lot of people out there, they see a line right out the gate, and they're like, oh, my God. They're like, Kansas State, they're -6 against Hawaii? Oh, man, let me hammer that in. And then you're watching the game, and you're like, man, Kansas State's going to beat Hawaii by 4. You know, and so they got you. They baited that line out there. I think, who was it? It was Boise. It was Boise in Hawaii last year. That's who it was. It was Boise in Hawaii. They put Boise at like -23. All right, 23-point favorites. So what did I do? I was like, man, Boise's only 23-point favorites. Like, they're gonna cover that easily. So what did I do? I said, let me go lock that in. Boise beat them by like 20. And I lost. So they throw them bait lines out there. That line, that's all it was. It was a bait line. It was to see how people were going to throw their money. That's all it was. I don't think it had much to do with Malcolm Simmons playing or is he not going to play, or is Baylor's defense only returning 5 starters? Is that have a lot? I don't think it has much to do with any of that. I really don't. I'm with you, Blake. Are you really a fan if you don't have expectations with a few wild predictions thrown in. That's my thing is I hold a standard. Devin. Is like I feel like Auburn should go no less than 8-4 every year. Just because of when I grew up watching Auburn and the way that they used to play and compete, I just can't say, hey, we're going 6-6. I can't. Oh, wow. Miss Karen's notifications didn't go off. It does that from time to time, man. It really does. It really, really does. Oh, let's see here. I still think we lose to Baylor, but it's going to be close. We could lose. We could. We really could. Like, that's not shocking, right? If we went out and lost to Baylor, say Baylor beats us by 3. Now, is the fan base going to be pissed? Yes. Do we lose all hope? No, I don't think we give up on the season because it's not a conference game. Right? And Baylor's supposed to win their conference. So I don't think you give up the season. I don't think you lay down. I think you continue to fight and show up every day. But I think it's also a massive game that you need to win. And I think Auburn's carrying a chip on their shoulder because now, like we just talked about with the line movement, people were all on you for 6 months. Auburn's the favorite, and now all of a sudden it's Baylor's going to win with ease. Baylor's the new favorite. Baylor's going to walk the dog on them. Their quarterback's a dog. Auburn's not going to be able to stop them. Auburn is walking into Waco, Texas with a chip on their shoulder, Daniel. I'm telling you, brother. Did you see the Baylor coach making a reference to Wolf of Wall Street? I did. I'll tell you what. First off, as a coach and a representative of a university, you might be sitting at home and say, hey, look, that midget or whatever. Man, you get paid by that university and you just come out and was just calling them midgets freely. Like, one thing that could offend somebody. I hope it didn't, but you were just like throwing it around so loose, calling them little people and small and all this stuff. Like, relax, brother. You could have went 10 different routes with whatever you were trying to reference. So he was talking about throwing the people up on the board in the Wolf of Wall Street. If you've seen the movie, I think it's one of the top 5 greatest movies of all time for me. I think Leo absolutely crushed it, but whatever he was trying to do, it did not work, and I think it was a pathetic showing. And people are going to continue to bring that up. Like, people aren't going to let that go. They're not. Like, they're still going to make fun of him. There's going to be memes about it all year. It's still can't believe Baylor media said they're going to drop 49 on us. Who? The Locked On Baylor guy? 49? Baylor has everything. I see that, Brett. I see that. Look, Baylor gave up like 35 plus, I think like 6 or 7 times last year. So before they start talking about putting up 40 on Auburn, they need to worry about their defense stopping whatever Auburn's got. So they need to worry about their own defense, and they can talk about Dave Aranda being a defensive savant. He hasn't been very good on that side of the ball in a minute. And I don't think it's going to roll over this year because they play in the damn Big 12, y'all. They don't play defense out there. They don't. They ain't never played defense. Montgomery Advisor said we lose 31-24. Yeah, I could see that. I do think it's a race to 30, like 28-30. I just don't know if they're going to score that many points on us. I really don't. I really, really don't. But we'll see. Which side of the wall do y'all want to start on tonight? It doesn't seem like Vegas is taking our defense into account. I think they are. I think they are, Miss Karen. I do. Because if they weren't, like, remember how I told y'all I give Baylor that 3 for being at home? So I think it would be like a 5-point spread. If they weren't taking Auburn serious, I think it would be like 5, 5.5, 6. Then I would start being like, man, that's a heavy line. Like that's a heavy line. They're expecting Baylor to handle business. So the fact that it's 1.5, 2, like I think they're saying, hey, by the time of kickoff, this is probably going to be a toss-up game. Like this is going to be a pick 'em. So you got it. That's why I told y'all don't. If you do bet gambling, whatever. I know the state of Alabama is weird and all that, but if you do, don't place a bet until the last minute, man. Like follow that line all day on that Friday, and then make sure that your gut go with that. Don't go out and throw a line a week out because it's bait. It's bait. They're just trying to get you to jump. So, like I said at the beginning, I want to hear some position battles that you guys think could potentially go down. I think this is like one of Auburn's like best spots they've went into for fall camp, because I look at this depth chart, I look at this roster, and I say, okay, well, where are your position battles? DB, like safety, linebacker, okay. That's there's some guys that I think could move up in the depth chart. I think the Pleasant kid at DB, I think I'm interested to see him because what did he get? Second team All SEC praise and things like that from a couple people. So I'm interested to see where the Strader kid and I'm interested to see where the true freshman Jordan Crawford. I'm interested to see if he slides up. I think Jordan Crawford's going to eventually start by the end of the year. And everybody's like, well, Blake, is that a bad thing? No, I don't think it's a bad thing because I think he's an absolute freak. And when I watched him live in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, he is a freak. He is a freak of nature. And I think he is a double teamer. I think he's going to clog a lot of space on that line. And he's going to allow Keyron Crawford and he's going to allow our other freak, Keldrick Faulk, to go eat. That is, I mean, I think he's just one of those dudes that he is physically overpowering. He's a giant human. He's strong, powerful, and he can move folks. I think eventually he works his way up the depth chart. But you look at Keldrick out there on the end. You got Jamison Travis. Inside, you got Malik Blockton inside. I think that's a guy that you got. We know what he did as a true freshman, but you got to have him step up and have an even better year. Be in better shape, be able to stay on the field longer. Man, have an even better year than you did your freshman campaign. And if he does, look out, folks. Keyron Crawford, like I mentioned, go get the passer, big fella. Go get him. And they say his body, the way he is taking care of his body and the way he has handled himself in the offseason has been a huge step forward. So love to hear that. DeMarcus Riddick at that second level right there. We know what he was like last year. I think I go back to the Iron Bowl and look at the play against Milroe. This year, you got to make that play. You can't let Milroe get to the outside. You got to get off the block. You got to go make the tackle. I think he will progress, and I think he will bring it this year, and I think he's going to be an absolute headhunter for that Auburn defense. Now, Robert Woodyard, all right, it is your time to step up as an Auburn Tiger. You've dealt with injury. You've waited your turn. You didn't hit the portal. I absolutely love that about Robert Woodyard. He's a Mobile, Alabama kid. I think now you have to go seize this opportunity if you want to be a star at Auburn. If you want to take over this role and be a leader on this defense, you got to go take it. Can he do that? I know Wheatland, the transfer, some people think that he might slide in there because he's played a lot of college football. He's coming from the Big Ten, which is also, it's the SEC and the Big Ten fighting for the top spot. So he's more, they're both kind of older players, but he's a little more polished, right? He's played a little bit more football. So that could be a position battle that we could look at right there. You got Kay and Lee. And look, man, Jay Crawford, I think those two, I think they're wrapped up, right? I think those two are elite. And yes, Jay Crawford will be a true sophomore. I think he's elite. I'll go ahead and put him in that category. I think he's great. You look at safety. Let's go to safety, man. Caleb Harris, I think he's got that locked up. I think he's got that strong locked up. And y'all remember how many times I've said I think Auburn has had really solid safeties throughout the years. But one thing that was always kind of lacking to me is we didn't have that guy that could come down to the line of scrimmage and absolutely be a headhunter and lower the boom on somebody. And I think Caleb Harris fills that role. I think he is a player. I think he's an NFL guy. I think he's going to make a lot of money playing football in his future. I think he's got that one locked up. But now you look at the field side, you got Jacoby Matthews, who transferred in from Texas A&M. I think he could be a special player. He's familiar with DJ Durkin. He knows what he wants to do. He made some nice plays at Texas A&M. He put up some stats there. Sylvester Smith could go there. My big one is Fagans. I watched him in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. I was at the University of South Alabama. Like I told you all about Jordan Crawford. He's going to get on the field, and he is an absolute playmaker. I watched him pick off Deuce Knight in big-time moments. I watched him make play after play after play. I watched him come up to the line of scrimmage and make tackles. You weren't beating him to the sideline. He was a headhunter. He's got a nose for the football, and he knows exactly where to be on every play, man. And I think he's one of those kids where each guy on the field has an assignment. And Fagans is going to do his assignment. And he's not going to get lost in the sauce. All right. I used to have a coach tell me all the time that eyes get lost in the sauce. They get lost. There's a lot of eye candy. There's a lot of sauce going around. There's a lot of motion. It don't get lost in the sauce, baby. And Fagans is that guy to me. I think he could be one of the greats for Auburn. I really do. I think Fagans could be one of the greats. You go to the nickel over there, Champ Anthony, broken leg last year. I thought he was having a hell of a year last year. I thought he was bringing the juice for Auburn. And that hit against Arkansas, whew, I tell you, we got them headhunters back there now. We got them headhunters. So when I throw out all these guys and I say, what are the positions? We're really not in a bad spot going into fall camp. There's not a lot of holes that we need to fix. I just think there's some youth and maybe some depth issues at a couple spots, but I think we're feeling really good of where we're at going into fall camp. I think we're feeling really, really good. We just need a couple guys to step up. But this isn't a defense where you're like, man, I got to plug this hole. I got to fill this one. I got to put some duct tape over that right there on the D line. Man, I ain't got a Keldrick Falk no more. No, we got those dudes. We're ready, man. We're ready on defense. Keldrick said, hey, by the end of the year, if Auburn ain't the number one defense in the country, I don't know what to tell you because we're ready, baby. We are ready. So I think that defense is set to go. Look, offense, we can fly through it real quick. I think you know. And let's not even go to the wide receiver room because I feel like a broken record each and every week. We know what the wide receiver room is. Eric Singleton Jr., Cam Coleman, yada, yada, yada. Enough said just with those two. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on Perry Thompson. I want to throw that out there. I think Perry Thompson's going to have a nice little year for himself there. The offensive line. When can you go back as an Auburn fan, 2017, to say, hey, look, we got an offensive line. We're really not worried about it. Now, yes, if people get hurt, you still got a couple guys there that you're like, okay, well, they've played college football. They've started multiple years. This is the first time where Auburn has a solid offensive line, and it's solidified across the board to Just go do it, man. Just go put it on the field. You have Mason Murphy coming in from USC that a lot of people think he's going to beat out Too Tall. So if Mason Murphy struggles, you have a reliable option right behind him, a guy that has played and he has put his tail on the line for Auburn multiple times. You have a solid backup right there if Mason Murphy's not getting it done or he goes down on injury. I think there's a lot of dudes, man. There's a lot of dudes in this room, on this line of scrimmage for Auburn, where I think you got to feel pretty dang good. Quarterback is solved. Jackson Arnold, your guy. Everybody said, well, how much is Deuce Knight? How much PT is Deuce Knight going to get? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I really don't care. I really don't care. Not this year. I mean, how does that sound? I just don't care. I hope it's none. Because to be honest with you, if it's none, that means Jackson Arnold's balling. Like, well, do you think Ashton Daniels could get some packages? I hope not, because I don't want to do the whole 2 quarterback thing. I want Jackson Arnold to go out there, be the guy, take the grass, and run with it. That is what I want. Because if he's doing that, that means we're hooping, baby. That means we're rolling, we're winning games, we're having a fun season. Us as fans, us as podcasters, us as media, us as the players, the coaching staff, the medical staff, all of us, baby. The faculty, the students, we're all having a blast. That's it. The only question on offense that I have is the running back room. And I see you over there, Mike. I see you. Mike says, what about the running back room? Y'all, there's folks that are high on Darrell Robinson. They say that he's an absolute star, that he's going to come in and take the job. They say that he is going to let people in Jordan-Hare know that he is an absolute freak. And he's here. He's not just going to be a special teamer. That is not him. He is coming for the job, and he's here to put people on notice. Now, what do I think happens? I think Damari gets the go. I think Damari gets the nod in Waco, and they say, hey, go show us. Can you be RB1? Can you be that guy? I think Cobb gets some touches. I think Robinson gets some touches. I think it's a running back by committee until 2 of them separate themselves. I think it's a running back. I think you're going to eventually come down to you're going to have 2 guys that can tote the tater. And that third guy is going to get funneled into like a kind of like a Batee role. Like maybe if one of those guys get hurt, the other one's not so hot. Remember Batee come in, and I'm so glad he's doing so well in his recovery. But he come in that Texas A&M game, and he gave Auburn a little spark. I think one of the guys could play that role and be in the return game and things like that. So that is really the only question going into fall camp as these guys report. Your running back room. That's it. That's it. It's everything else is set in stone, man. You're ready to go do the dang thing. Like that's why I'm kind of excited. And all these people that keep saying, well, what is Auburn going to do here? I don't get it. I think Auburn's kind of set. Like I mentioned a couple little spots on defense. We need some guys to step up for some depth. We need a couple guys to step up and take over that starting job. But it's not like we're losing 8 starters and we're depleted. And no, that's not it. That is not it, man. And I think you got one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. You can say whatever you want to about the man, but I think him as a football coach, DJ Durkin, I think he's an absolute dog. I think that if things work out with Hugh Freeze and he wins football games this year, I don't know how much longer we're going to have DJ Durkin, because I think he starts getting head coaching offers again. Because that Maryland stuff is in the past. It's OV. It's done. I think you're going to eventually lose him if you start winning football games. Now, if you start losing football games, he could become your head coach. I don't know. That's for another day. I hope it never happens. So I do think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. I'm on the Robinson train this year, Blake. That's what people are saying, Brett. That's what people are saying, brother. People are saying that he's a real deal issue. Now, I think we're going to find out early. And the reason you're going to find out early is because of who you play early. Baylor? I don't think Baylor's going to stop the run. That little 3-3-5 Big 12 patsy soft defense they play, I'm sorry, I just don't. I don't think they're built to stop anybody. Anybody. I really don't. So that is. Hold on. I'm a little worried about our interior D line, but the season hangs on the QB room. Okay, so Keats, this is one thing I always say about the interior D line. As an Auburn fan, what is one position group that is always questioned over the last couple of years, but somehow they find a way to show up every Saturday? Man, I feel like the Auburn D line, even though they haven't had their best talent the last couple of years, they still find a way to grind it out. They still find a way to play above their talent. I feel like what? Bro, tell me about it. I still feel like the interior D-line for Auburn still finds a way to get it done, and they still find a way to keep Auburn in football games. And so I am a little worried about that. But like I mentioned, man, I think Jordan Crawford, I think he's going to step up. And he's a true freshman, but I think he's going to be a player. And by season's end, I don't think he'll be looked at as a true freshman anymore. I think that kid's an absolute star. I question play calling. I question, Daniel, I'll tell you this. I question players. Who wants to go make a damn play and win? I said it the other night on the episode. Players make plays. Period. Players make plays. Now, was there times where there was just boneheaded, bone scratching, just head scratching play calls? Yes. Hugh calling the timeout right before the 2-minute warning. Yes, I get it. But we were also in a whole lot of games because Hugh was dialing our offense up. Now, we can question the Oklahoma call. I said Hugh should have ran it. If you go back and watch the replay, the bubble screen's open for a touchdown. It's wide open. We walk in. We beat Oklahoma. It's wide open. It was there. Nobody within 20 yards. It's wide open. So, yeah, there's a couple times like I would go time management before I would play calling. Because I feel like Hugh had more blunders with time management. I feel like he had more blunders with time management than he did actual play calling. So that's where I kind of stand with that. I feel like it. I feel like Hugh can dial it up. When he really gets in his bag, he gets in his bag. There was one game last year where I felt like he never got in his bag, and that was Vanderbilt. I feel like he never got in his bag there. No Wildcat. Hey, Daniel, I'm with you right there, baby. I'm with you. Yeah, bro. Jamison Travis, he ain't bad. I think he could be a solid guy, a leader on that line and things like that. So, look, I think Auburn sits in a great spot. I really do. There's just a couple pieces that we got to get the kinks out of. But as far as people going out there and saying Baylor's going to slap us around, man, come on, dog. But look, y'all, fall camp, it officially starts tomorrow. It started today. It was walkthroughs, team meetings, all that. You get the hoopla, blah, 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 listen to people talk, rah, rah, rah. All right, tomorrow is the real deal. So content's going to be popping. Man, we're we're going to be dropping stuff. Like I told y'all, later in the week, I'll do how I feel on certain games, let you know if I think Auburn's going to win this game, if I think Auburn's going to lose this game, if it's up in the air, whatever. I'll put them all in a category, and we'll talk about it. So I appreciate y'all for joining me on this live. Love y'all, man. Hey, click the bell for notifications. Click the thumbs up button, man. It helps the show tremendously. Share it out on social media. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Love y'all. War Damn Eagle, baby. Hey, we're a month out. Let's go.